Hey guys, this is Head Cheese, and I'm going to be attempting my first sketchbook tour video. I've noticed a lot of people do these, and I've often wondered why, to be honest, because at first it seemed a little silly, but thanks to a fellow artist and YouTuber, Yumichan, who has helped answer a couple of my questions, and thank you for being patient with me. I know I ask you a lot, but I really appreciate it because you always pull through and helping me understand things better. Um, but I can see how sketchbook tours can be helpful, and I'm hoping that it will raise my confidence as an artist. I've noticed most people who do these seem pretty confident as well. I can also see how it can help young artists as we all struggle with the my art isn't good enough phase. It's refreshing to see a talented artist back when they had their training wheels. I hope that those who view these understand what I mean when I say that. I'm not trying to be insulting or anything. Put my foot in my mouth. Be careful. Uh, but again, I've never done this before, and I don't have the setup where I can flip through the pages. But I've taken pictures with my phone and will be browsing through them digitally. I didn't skip any pages, despite the fact that I really wanted to. But I'll also be starting with my most filled sketchbook, which was dated back in 2013. I've been losing a lot of motivation to sketch over the past 6 years. Not that I haven't, but I just haven't really filled any, or fully filled any, since then. Hopefully that'll change as I do more of these. But enough blabbing, and let's get to the point. Page 1. Don't worry, I won't name all the pages. That was just the first sketch, first page. I guess messing with textures on that one. This one was working from a character concept based on a story I was working on back in 2013, as I mentioned. I used watercolors, I think, with that one. Watercolors and whiskey. I guess I wanted to see the effects of alcohol with watercolor pencils. Well, it is a sketch, but kind of ruined the paper. Try to do a still life of this music box I have, and I hate still lives. The rage that builds up with still lives on the clown part. I tried to make it a little more interesting with this next part down here, whatever it was, but I just, yeah, no. But it is a sketch. Try to be a little more abstract on this one. Of all the things I've ever done, my brother said he liked this one a lot. I like it, I guess, but that's about as far as I'll go with anything like that. Maybe experiment with more, I guess I shouldn't say for certain. Yeah, this one was I can't write kid stories. I tried, but this is what I came up with. I don't know if you guys can read that. Once upon a time, there was a princess who felt so fugly she hid her face in her paper sack just so she could protect her kingdom from her fugly. One day she went out to sing with the wildlife. Suddenly it pissed down with rain and the paper sack started to disintegrate until it was no more. The princess, worried about the people, or actually wrote sheeple in there, in the town, she decided that the only way to protect them were to throw herself in the raging ocean. So she did. The end. And that's why I don't write kids' books. Old Beetle. I started taking theater, and I think that's one of the reasons why I picked up doing sketchbooks again, because we were required to do a journal, but I don't really like to write much. My writing is horrible, so a lot of the things I did were just sketched, and that was where this one came from. A crappy butterfly. I promise I got better with that. I have actually an updated version, and it looks so much better, and it's colored, but we'll save that one for a later video. More doodles. More doodles. This one is even hard for me to see sometimes because it's just very rough. But you guys can, or you guys can't see it, but it is what it is. This one, mostly this part here, whenever I'm walking around my work, whenever I go on my break, I see leaves on the ground, and they often look like little creatures, and so that's where these came from. Then I thought about drawing more, I guess, plant life, seeing how they make bugs. But yeah, this is my favorite part here. It's a little slug. more doodles. These things right here, little bean things, I learned about these little creatures called ostracods. And they just kind of remind me of aquatic jelly beans. They're pretty cute. That's where these guys came from. I'll probably draw more. This was a concept I had. I have a broken mirror that's broken in that pattern, and I was going to get some old trees and make a stand out of them. Obviously, I guess I never did it because, you know, artists, we procrastinate. But I still have the design, I still have the mirror, and one day when I have the space, I'd like to be able to do it. We'll see. Computer mouse. Go back to that one. Stare a little longer. This one is one of 4. I was drawing or designing a concept of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse being centaurs. Don't know how I was gonna really incorporate anything just in a painting, but here is a sketch of famine. I wanted to bring them on a traditional canvas, so I never got around to finishing the images. I might just go ahead and just get over and do digital art, but I did start death on oil canvas, but I'm not very familiar with oil paint, so maybe one day I will, or maybe somebody else will see it and do it. We'll see. This pestilence. I like drawing centaurs because it's kind of a good practice for drawing both horse and human anatomy, or at least all the fun parts anyway. War. I think war came out pretty good, as well as death, which is why I started drawing death first, or painting death first. But it's always hard to replicate what you did on a 5x8 paper onto a larger scale without it coming out weird. But that's why we practice. There's another rendition of famine, a pestilence. I think I was gonna do pestilence and famine were both on the ground. I didn't want that, so I figured I'd have them stand up. Terrible anatomy of horse. To the untrained eye, it looks good, but this is way off. As I've been doing more research, it's way off. But I still like it, I guess, for an abstract piece, maybe? I don't know, maybe it's too identifiable to be that. But I still like it, nonetheless. Satyrs are always going to be my favorite thing to draw. I've got several other sketches of them. You'll see those later on if I continue these. There's only one in this book, but I have a couple other. I've even airbrushed one. So maybe I'll show that later too. Horizon line. Perspective. That's all that is. Feet. Not very much difference between the types of feet when you look at the skeletal structure, but outside. Chicken, bird feet are so difficult for me to draw unless they're a huge bird of prey, but little birds are just too fine. Some giraffies. I actually painted this one on a small canvas. I think it was a 10x10. It came out alright. Acrylics. But this was just a basic sketch for that one. Random character sketch. Reminds me of character from BlazBlue, but it's also not. I guess that's my lack of original concept going in there. Mad scientist. I think that this was another theater conversation. He's a naked mad scientist. I remember... Well, when I see this picture, it takes me back to the theater classroom, and so I think that something was mentioned, and I must have drawn it in there, because it's always connected the two. But I thought that would be a fun character. I had a story for him, but I guess it wasn't impressive enough for me to want to keep it up. So, just kind of dropped it, I suppose. Obviously, My Little Pony inspired here. Wanted to find a different style than what other people were doing, but not too far off. And I came up with these. I really liked the way the line came out. But after I drew these, I came up with these guys. And I figured that would be cute for like a kid's room or something. I don't know. I thought they were cute. Sketch of a something with several legs. Looks like it get pretty rude. I'm not careful with that. Halloween. I think we were in a meeting for work, and I drew that because I didn't want to be in the meeting. And more of those animals. I tried them with obviously different animals. And giraffe worked out, but the elephant, I didn't like the way it came out. Obviously, it's still sketched. Baphomet demon. Promise, I'm not a Satanist. I just drew it. It must have come up in a conversation at work, and I was looking into it to research more about it, and felt like drawing it, I suppose. That's all. I promise. Bee character costume design. I really wanted to draw a character with the beehive hairdo, and I came up with her dominatrix, I guess. Can't remember what her story was. Design for both of them. Yeah, maybe I'll do that digital now. It's been long enough. Bird sketches, more exaggerated poses. I did several of these ones because I couldn't figure out a pose I liked, but I really wanted to get this down, as you'll see through. I think I was going to try to watercolor this because I saw a watercolor video, and I really admire people who can do those, who can use watercolors really well. I've tried, and it always comes out so ugly whenever I do it, but let's keep trying and play with it. This is a pose. Another pose. I was beating like this one a little bit better from this angle. I'm left-handed, so all my art, or most of it, is always facing over to the right. It frustrates me so much. But then this one I think was my favorite pose in the end that I will use to airbrush or watercolor if I can do that later on. More leaf sketches. Hard to tell what that was because I wasn't confident enough to make sure that you could see them. Or myself, because I had not intended to do a let's show everybody, so it was I didn't want to see it. That's the truth. Listening to a song from the Ghost in the Shell soundtrack. I guess I must have been going through a phase, but these guys came to my mind when I was listening to it on that particular day. I have no idea what was going on because I've listened to that song several times after that day, and I don't know what that is. But it's there. Ant mutants. I like drawing these guys. I haven't drawn them actually much at all, but I was going back and looking into the cordyceps, those mushrooms or the fungus that infect ants and other insects. Pretty fascinating bit of nature there. Terrifying if that affected people. I'm glad we're not ants. But yeah, mutant ants drawing insects, and they're fun. There's that weird thing from the first page. Second page, third page. I like doing that. I might actually airbrush that one again. Kind of shiny. Maybe I'll just do digital. My bartender. I like him. I don't know if it was just me being delusional, but I'm pretty sure I remember back in when I was a kid, I remember hearing something about bartenders make good psychologists because they always hear everybody's problems. I don't know if that was just a one-time thing that somebody said that really stuck to me, or it was a common thing, but I really liked that idea, and I bring him back when I drew him out, making him an ear because he'll listen to everybody's problems at the bar. In fact, he's even in the first part of my animation I'm working on called Starlock. You can find on Newgrounds, and the first part is also on YouTube. Well, here the sound is off on here, but I fixed it on Newgrounds. If you haven't seen it, he's in there talking to the main character. Although, now that I'm looking at it, this bar looks a lot nicer than his. Oh well, we'll fix it. Melting horse thing. And then there's the other angle, which I seem to do better at. Kind of morbid. I think that's a hand right there. Yeah, I remember I was not having a good time when I drew this one. I was volunteering for a group of people who were doing fan films of Star Trek, and it was really helping them was so fun. It was such a good experience. But there's one day we were volunteering for something. I don't remember what it was, but it was just it was pretty boring. It's as disrespectful and rude as it might sound. I'm not trying to be, but it was dull. A pen sketch here. I don't know what pen I had, but don't think I liked it because I've never used it again. But I like this little concept too. Hand practice. You can never have enough hand practice. Actually, this is a hand of a character. I have she's kind of a cat character with TV on her head. Lots of people have those TV characters. Called her Knee 2, based off of my aunt at the time. Wild actually had a cat, and that's what his name was. Don't think I have a picture of her in this sketchbook, but that's her hand. She's got plugs because she's electronic. A slightly better horse. This is more like what their spine looks like, and probably not that big. I was focused on that specific part, so every part that wasn't the exaggerated focus, this became mediocre and small, I guess. But that's more like what the spine was supposed to look like on the other one. Or, again, that was back in 2013. I think I've improved it since then. Legs. They actually don't look as good when they're not attached to the animal. I was proud of this one. I found an image on Google, I think, and I drew it. I didn't realize the distance between their arm, how it goes through there, I guess. But you really can't see it in the image. But I was proud of that one. Not as much as on this one, though. Yeah. I like this Trojan Valkyrie thing. Obviously inspired by Futurama. I had to do my own kind of renditioning of the idea because I thought that was hilarious when Zoidberg runs it on the screen. And you'll never guess where I've been. Cracked me up. And so I had to do my own kind of anime version. I think also I was really into Slugbox and his art at the time, and so it kind of encouraged me to open up on different, the tights, the shading and everything. So I actually might come back and color that one. I really like that one. Hathor concept. Hathor, Egyptian god. Before I quote anything on there, I'm going to mention. I thought that she was supposed to be like the protector of children. I could be wrong, but she's depicted as a woman with cows. Let me see where it's going, because there's a reason why I was what I was doing with this. Oh, Great Flood. Guess not. Oh, I guess I must have been mistaken her for someone else. Oh, okay, yeah. Associated with motherhood, love. Okay, so yeah, this is a draft where she's got the polycephaly, that's how you say that, the cows protruding from her heart, kind of representing, well, there's a reason why I drew it, because I couldn't put it in words. The association and how people are treating children today versus, the mother side and the protection and all that fun crap. Yeah. Moving on to something more terrifying than two cows protruding from a woman's chest. I think this was my first attempt at doing actual anatomy, sitting down to look at it, so it's all off, but yeah, this was the first. It's kind of fuzzy from the picture. There she is. That's me too. She's not on her feet too. Oh, unfortunately, it's a side view. And obviously, we know who that is. Some more sketches. And costume concept. Gazelle. I think I started drawing her out because this is again, like I said, I started theater at the time, and we were doing stage makeup. And one of my best stage makeup that I did was the Gazelle. It was simple, and I thought it looked really good, so I wanted to try and design a costume based on it and see how it would work out. I never made the costume, obviously, but I think that I would like to try it out one day before I get too old. We never know. I don't know what that was. A ghost, perhaps? Holding something? And then this is the last page, I believe, and behold, a shell. And then the shell from another angle. Yeah. That's about it. I'm not sure if I'm doing this right or wrong. Maybe I ranted too much. Sorry if I did. I won't know until I finalize the video. I guess if you hear me saying this part, then you know obviously I didn't care if I ranted too much. Any suggestions would be helpful. Just let me know. And I appreciate you viewing it. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.